Okay, before we jump into this one, let's talk about driving a car. And you're going to drive a car, and when you drive that car, you're going to go 55 miles an hour for 3 hours. So 55 miles per hour, and you're going to drive it for 3 hours. And if you want to find out how far you traveled, you'd go 55 miles an hour times 3 hours. And this beautiful thing happens here where you can cancel the units, and you'd have 55 times 3, which is 165, and then you'd have miles. Okay, so what you already knew here, and it's no surprise to you, is that rate times time equals distance. Now, maybe we're not talking about the rate at which you travel. Maybe it's not a speed, maybe it's something else. Walter and Helen are asked to paint a house. Walter can paint the house, one house, by himself in 12 hours. We'll just stop right there. He can paint one house in 12 hours. I'm going to just go ahead and write down Walter. And then we're going to write down Helen. And then you keep reading, you'll realize that these folks are going to work together, which is nice. That's just great that they work together. Walter can paint one house in 12 hours. That is his rate. What I'm going to do over here is just basically define what the rate is. This is going to be houses per hour. Okay? So all this talk about rate times time equals distance, it was really a conversation to get us thinking about what a rate represents. And I can add rates together. If I am traveling at 55 miles an hour in a sailboat, let me rephrase that. If I'm traveling at 55 miles an hour in a rowboat, if I'm rowing at 55 miles an hour, and I'm going 55 miles per hour, and I'm rowing that fast, yeah, my arms are going to be tired. But then if the wind is behind me at 10 miles per hour, this is not realistic, then I'm really going to be traveling at 65 miles per hour. That's what's happening, okay? And one more thing. Rate times time equals distance. We can change that a little bit, solve for rate, and it's always going to be distance over time. Not always distance, though. It's going to be a quantity divided by time. So let's take the big idea, write it in red, and we're going to put rate equals quantity divided by time. That's going to happen on every problem, and we're going to add or subtract to get a total. So Walter and Helen are going to work together. Walter can paint one house in 12 hours. Helen can paint one house by herself in 16 hours. How long would it take? I don't know. That's hours. That would be X. If they work together, how many houses? One house. How long would it take to paint? The house, the one house. Most of the time your numerators are going to be one, like they're doing one job. They're painting one house. They're painting one fence. They're draining one tub, like it'll be like a pump that's draining a swimming pool or a tub or whatever. And now we have an equation that we know how to solve already. So we just come over here on the side with a purple pen, and we find our least common denominator. And that least common denominator is, let's see, 12 and 16 would be 48, not 12 times 16, just saying. 12 goes into 48, 16 goes into 48, and it's 48x. Now, what you could also do is not get the least common denominator, but just say, let's multiply everything by 12, 16, and x. 12, 16, and x. 12, 16, and x. Totally could do that. I'm not right now. We will in some other contexts, but not going to. All right, so we're going to multiply every fraction by that least common denominator, or a common denominator, whether it's the least or not. Okay? And then we'll start canceling some stuff out. So let's cancel this x with this x. We're going to cancel this 16 with the 48, and it makes 3. We're going to cancel the 12 with the 48, and it's going to make 4. All right, the next step, well, denominators are gone, lucky us. 4x plus 3x, and we've been through all this process, is equal to 48. And that gives me 7x equals 48. And so we will divide by 7. Divide 48 by 7. And x equals, okay, 48 divided by 7 is going to be almost 7. It's 6 and some change. And I do want to get the exact decimal, a rounded decimal. We'll use 3 decimal places. 48 divided by 7 is 6 and 6/7, in case you care. 6.85 857. 6.857 what? Okay, well, how long would it take? That's a measurement of hours. So 6.857 hours. All right, what we just did was started the conversation with talking about rates, and every one of these is going to be set up as a rate, and you're going to have a total. You're going to add them together, or in some cases subtract, and you're going to just solve the equation like you've been doing.